Yeah, please go. Yeah.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Saurabh, for having me. Thank you, Agami, for for initiating this Summer for Data program. There's something which should have been there throughout for law students so that they understand how data is important and how you should play with data. So understand and do some analysis of how things should be or how things are or how things have been. So what we'll do today is we'll uh, see what I'll say what I whatever I have, and then we'll keep it very interactive in nature so that you whatever questions or whatever queries you have or whatever you have in mind, we'll discuss this, and I'll to the best of my capabilities I'll try to answer them. So what we'll do is I'll just share screen once, and I'll you have to enable it from the desktop, Saurabh. So I'll just show you one table so that uh, is it visible
Do you
now?
have the access now, Namit?
Just one second.
Oh, sorry. I have given it to you on your.
Oh no, I want it on the desktop.
I can't take the ownership back. On your phone, can you click on the participant and then just click on me and make me the host, and I'll do the rest. I think by mistake I have given it to your phone.
I gave it to you now.
Yeah. Okay. 1 second.
That will be by the name Namit Saxena of Office.
Yes. You have it now?
Yes.
Perfect.
So I'll just share this screen with you. So this, if you guys can see, this is the data of of judges of vacancies as on 1/6/2021. If you guys can see. So this shows the statements of working strength. This is the sanctioned strength of judges. This is the working strength, and this is the number of vacancies which we have currently. So the Supreme Court, so I'll concentrate more on the High Court, but the Supreme Court currently has 34 judges and 7 vacancies today. As of today, we have 2 superannuations in July, and 1 in July and 2 in August. The number of vacancies will be 10 in next 2-3 months. And then there are 3 more retirements, so that will increase to 13 in case there are no appointments made. So if you see this data, you can, if you see it from a plain angle, you'll see the High Court's name, the total number of total number of sanctioned strength, total number of working strength, and the total number of vacancies. But if you analyze it properly, I'll tell you how you should, the approach which you should take while you're analyzing one particular set of data. So if you see, for example, the Allahabad High Court. So the Allahabad High Court has 160 sanctioned strength and 61 vacancies. Similarly, when you go down, you'll get, that Andhra again, 37, 18, then Bombay, Calcutta, Chhattisgarh, Delhi. Now, number 10 is important because the nomenclature for the High Court of UTs of J&K and Ladakh has changed. Earlier, it was High Court of Jammu and Kashmir, then it was changed to Common High Court for UTs, then it became High Court for UTs after, a gazette notification. So when you see this data, you'll analyze that the total 1080 is the sanctioned strength, and there are 430 vacancies as on 1/6/2021. Now, when you look at this data, you see that, for example, you look at Bombay. Now, the data for Bombay, 94 judges, 94 total sanctioned strength and 33 vacancies, you have to analyze it from 2-3 points of view. One, what is the number of judges which is sanctioned from the bar? What is the number of judges sanctioned from service cadre? Then what is the strength given to Aurangabad? What is bench? What is the strength given to Nagpur bench? And what is the strength given to Bombay? The principal bench at Bombay, and then Goa again comes under High Court of Bombay. So what is the strength given to them out of this 94? And the 33 vacancies, where are these vacancies mostly in? And then you have to analyze that, whether there are more vacancies from, elevations from the bar or promotions from service. Now, then when you go down for, again, Calcutta, Port Blair, and Calcutta and West Bengal, Then similarly, when you go to Rajasthan, you'll see 50 sanctioned strength and 27 vacancies. I'll come to, the percentage in a while. So Rajasthan again, Jodhpur bench, Jodhpur principal seat and Jaipur bench. So what is the proportion between them intersect is important. And what is the criteria amongst each other at the principal bench, at the principal seat, as well as at the Jaipur bench, for the number of judges they can have at a particular time. Are there any rules made by the concerned High Court to this effect is also something which you should look at. Now, when you look at the number of vacancies, you see Calcutta, you see there's 72 sanctioned strength and 41 vacancies as of 1/6/2021. So that will be roughly around 56.9% of the number of seats are vacant as on 10 days back, as on 1st of June. Then when you go to Delhi, and we'll make a note of it because I'll show you 2 years back as well. So Delhi has 60 judges and 29 vacancies, which is roughly 48.33%. Then when you go to Jharkhand, you see a comparatively smaller High Court, 25 sanctioned strength and 10 vacancies, which is roughly around around 40-45% odd or so. Then you go to Karnataka, you see 62 sanctioned strength and only 14 vacancies. Then when you go to MP, Madhya Pradesh at number 14, you'll see 53 sanctioned strength and 29 vacancies. That is roughly around 54%. Maximum is at Patna. If you'll see, 53 is the sanctioned strength and there are 33 vacancies. So only 20 judges are sitting there at the moment. And there is no bench as well. It's only one. And interestingly, it's not Bihar High Court. Apart all the states' names are there. But for Madras and Patna, it's called Patna High Court and Madras High Court till now, and Bombay. Not Maharashtra High Court, not the High Court of, Bihar, not the High Court of Tamil Nadu, but by the individual names. So this constitutes Patna, is around 62% seats are vacant at the moment. Then when you go to Punjab and Haryana, similarly, out of 85, 38 vacancies, which is roughly around 44%. Rajasthan, as I told you, 50 and 27, that is around 54%. Now, this is how, when we look at it, we simply, get this data, that this is the percentage and this is how, it has been done. But when you have to properly analyze the data, you have to go back a little. Now we'll go to vacancies as on 1st of June 2019. Now, if you'll see now, Supreme Court approved strength 31, working strength 31, 0 vacancies. The total 1079 and, in High Courts, 399 vacancies, unlike which we just saw, which was, 1080 and 430 vacancies. So the number of vacancies has increased. I'll tell you one of the reasons which you should look into while analyzing this data as well. Now, if you look at this, there are few important, observations which you'll make. For example, we take Delhi. Now, Delhi, again, 60 total approved strength, then 20 vacancies. Unless, in quite contrast to what we have right now, that is 29 vacancies. As on 1/6/2021, we have 29 vacancies. So 9 vacancies, increased in the state of Delhi. Similarly, when you go to Jharkhand, or for example, you go to Rajasthan. Rajasthan, you'll see that there were 50, again 50, same approved strength is 50, and the vacancies 26. And right now we have 27. So past 2 years, the situation has remained almost constant in Rajasthan. Then when you go to Jharkhand, so you'll see 25 is, the approved strength, and number of vacancies 5, in quite contrast to what we have right now, which is 10. So the number of vacancies in Jharkhand in past 2 years has doubled. So this is an important observation which we have to make. Similarly, when you go to Patna, Patna right now is 62% vacancies. When we go to 2019, we'll see that out of 53, there were 22 vacancies. So the number of vacancies, increase in Patna High Court from 22 to 33. Are you guys getting me? You know what I'm trying to say here? This is how you have to analyze data. So when you'll see this, now similarly, when you go to Karnataka, as I told you, right now, we just have 62 seats are there, 62 sanctioned strength on only 14 vacancies. Percentage wise, apart from 0-0 in smaller high courts like Meghalaya, Manipur, Tripura, Karnataka has the least number of vacancies because there are only 14 vacancies right now. Now, if you'll see in 2019, you'll see that there were 62 judges and there were 30 vacancies in 2019. So they have made 16 judges. They have filled at least 16 because there may have been few retirements. So the number of appointments may have been more. So, so in 2019, you had almost 50% to 62 behind the curtain. See, you have to, see that, appointment of High Court judges per se is a political discretionary appointment. You need to have your political inclinations correct at the state as well as at the center. It is then when, the appointments increase. Why I say this, I'll show you, data from 2 states to make that point. Now, if you see Karnataka, now the ruling establishment at the center and the ruling establishment in the state of Karnataka is the same for past 2 years. So if you see that, that the number of vacancies in 2019 in Karnataka were 30, which got reduced to 14, this becomes important. Similarly, when we take a contrasting example of Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, the current ruling establishment is different and is, ideologically opposite to the current ruling establishment at the center since 2018, since December 2018. So in past 2 years, the appointment, there's been only one appointment made in the Rajasthan High Court. So the number of vacancies were then 26 and now 27. In fact, they have increased. So this is where it gets important so as to, how to analyze data. Now, similarly, when you go to, data for the past year, if you go to 2020, you'll see, just 1 second. This is the data as on 1/6/2020. You'll see, so if you remember, I, showed that, the nomenclature for JNK, it was earlier Common High Court for UT of JNK, which has changed now to High Court. You'll see the sanctioned strength in the Supreme Court increased from 31 to 34. The working strength 32, vacancies 2, in quite contrast to what we have right now. We have 7 vacancies right now, 3 lined up. And you'll see the number of vacancies 1079 sanctioned strength and 388 vacancies, which is now 430. So when you analyze data, you have to look at it from, a lot of perspectives. I'll give you another example as to how, so we have this list of judges of the Supreme Court of India and the High Courts. This is again as on 1/6/2021. So if you look at it, this is the Supreme Court, sanctioned strength 34, list of judges arranged according to the date of appointment as on 1/6/2021. You'll see, we have Justice N.V. Ramana as the chief right now. Rohinton Fali Nariman is due to retire in August. As I told you, Ashok Bhushan is due to retire on July, and Naveen Sinha again in August. So this will also change the collegium to a certain extent. Now, for example, I'll give you, and then we have all the judges of, for example, we take Allahabad High Court. Now, I'll give you one more perspective as to how to analyze data. For example, we take, Ashok Bhushan is due to retire in July, and his parent high court is Allahabad. Please make a note of this date, 13/5/2016. This is when he was appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court. Now,
Namit, are you there? Namit, we can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible now. Yes.
All right. So if you see, I'll just go back, for a minute. Ashok Bhushan, date of appointment 13/5/2016, and date of retirement is next month. And parent high court Allahabad. Let's go to his parent high court, that is Allahabad. Now, Allahabad High Court, as we saw, 160 is the strength, and current we know how many judges have been there. Now, if you see, from after 13/5/2016, how many judges have been appointed? So the last appointment pre 13/5/2016 is this. So we only have 27 judges currently in Allahabad High Court, who were appointed prior to this. Now, if we see the judges appointed after Justice Ashok Bhushan became a judge, you'll see from 28 to 88. 60 judges this, and then additional judges, 11. So 60 and 11, 71 judges appointed in the Allahabad High Court after Justice Ashok Bhushan.
Namit, you're again frozen for us. Namit, can you hear me?
Saurabh, am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Why this is important? Why this is important is that, that whenever High Court judges are appointed, so the judges, of course, collegium will take a decision, but as per the MOP, judges whose parent High Court is that particular High Court, their consent or their opinion is taken, is what the MOP says. But in reality, what happens is, judges who come from that particular High Court, they are thought of as if they know that particular High Court better than the judges sitting in the collegium who have had no experience of, proceedings in that particular High Court, and their opinion carries a lot of weight. And perhaps this is why Justice Ashok Bhushan was able to get 60 and 11, 71 judges appointed in the Allahabad High Court after he became a judge of the Supreme Court. Now, if you'll see, again, this data from after, Justice Ashok Bhushan came to the Supreme Court, from 28 to 88 and from 1 to 11, the additional judges, you'll see the number of judges who have been appointed from service are very less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Only 16. Maximum elevations from the bar. So when you analyze data, you have to play with data in a manner so as to, that you dig out something which the data does not speak directly. Like, for example, we saw, the strength of judges and the number of vacancies. This is something which the data speaks outright. This is something which the data is telling you, or that particular table is telling you. But you have to go behind it and analyze as to what is being done. Now, another thing which you make note of is that, that generally people who come from service, they have a lesser tenure. And, people who come from the bar, they have more tenure, except, something here and there. Now, similarly, when you go to, for example, you go to Rajasthan High Court. Let's go to Rajasthan High Court and see. So we have the Rajasthan High Court here. The two, more retirements lined up this year. So the number of vacancies is going to increase again. So when you look at this data, you'll see that, that the ruling establishment, and this, I just told you that the ruling establishment is ideologically opposite to, what we have in the state and what we have in the center. So if you see this table, you'll see, the appointments made after, December 2018 when Mr. Ashok Gehlot became the CM. They only, you'll see that, except Mr. Mahendra Goyal, because all these are, this is the date of appointment as a permanent judge. So 2 years prior to it is, generally for the service candidates is what they make as, additional judges. So you'll see very few appointments. Only one, I guess, Justice Mahendra Kumar Goyal is the only one who has been made from the bar. And these are rest are service candidates who have been promoted, who are due to retire next month, next year, 2022, 23 maximum. So this is how you have to analyze data as to, how things are being done. Now, if you see, for example,
Namit, do you want to take questions now? A couple of them.
I think that bit better, just their questions.
Yeah. If any of you have any questions, like always, like just unmute yourself and feel free to ask questions to Namit.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Hi. So this was really fascinating, but I was just wondering, where did the data exactly come from? I mean, I'm surprised to find that all of this is available on the High Court and High Court websites.
No, this is not on the High Court website. This is on the Department of Justice, Ministry of Law website.
Okay, so the work that we've been doing is also we've been collating data on the High Court judges, and we have also been looking at the data, the handbooks of judges available on the DOJ website, but it's not as latest as this one. So I was just wondering where the 2021 data.
What they do is they update it every first day of every month. So you'll find data as on 1/6/21, 1/5/21, 1/4/21. It goes up to 2 years, 2 prior years.
Yeah, I saw that list. Okay, so the data is from there. Understood.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. So that will save you a lot of energy. You'll also find a list of chief justices of high courts. Yes, Saurabh?
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other question? Otherwise, I have a question for Namit.
Yes.
Yeah. I think one of the persistent challenges that almost everyone has faced during this exercise is that it's very easy to get like the date of appointment, date of retirement, who has been the chief justice or not, that kind of data. Like, how does one go about like finding other data points related to the High Court judges? And if you could shed a little bit of light on that, unless like there is already a flow that you have in mind, like if you could address this question.
So, for example, you have to look at background of judges. So background of judges you can classify under 2-3 heads. One is if that particular individual comes from a legal dynasty, or from some affluent background, because whenever you look at data, you have to analyze, because this is something which students will also realize when they are on it, that there is some sort of class bias which is present. Candidates coming from a privileged set of background, not necessarily legal or not necessarily judicial in nature, but some sort of privilege attached to them will help them in getting elevation at the right time. So as they say, 44, 45 is the magic number. Everybody wants to get appointed at the right age so as to improve their chances to come to the Supreme Court and in fact become the Chief Justice, at the right time. So, all these factors help. So whenever you classify it, you have to see, one, the background. Second, there are a lot of, societal factors which are attached to, which, should be looked into. For example, schooling. for example, college. Now, today we have uh, Justice K.M. Joseph, Justice Chandrachud, and a few other senior advocates as well, who were batchmates in DU law faculty. So, all these factors, so it's how, gradually you realize this is not something which, I should say, but, all sort of lobbying is being done for, for with a lot of factors attached to them. So whenever you look at it, you should look at the background. Now, for few candidates, for few judges, you'll see that the data is available on the website. That somebody did schooling from from this particular school or so. For people, for candidates where the data is not available, you should connect with a senior advocate at that particular high court. Somebody was practiced with that particular judge or was a junior to I think
Yeah,
show
Soumya is saying, yeah, he can't hear you. Sorry, can you be a little closer to the mic if you don't mind? Yeah,
all right. Am I audible?
this
Is
is
it better
perfect.
now?
This is perfect.
Well, stop the video so as
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Is it better now?
Yes, Namit. Yes.
All right. So when you look at it, so you can connect with a good senior advocate or somebody who was a junior to that particular judge, so as to he or she can confirm what is where all did he study, did he do anything differently, or who played an important role in getting somebody's elevation, because this is how it works. For example, Justice Utwalia got Justice B.N. Agarwal to the Supreme Court. Justice B.N. Agarwal, in turn got Justice C.K. Prasad to the Supreme Court. Now, also it is important, that whose chamber does one come from. Like, for example, Justice C.K. Prasad, who is the current chairman of the Press Council of India, he was a junior to Thakur Prasad in Patna. Now, for those who don't know, Thakur Prasad is, he was the father to the current law minister, Ravi Shankar Prasad. So Justice C.K. Prasad was his junior. So no, so all these factors, play an important role. So it is good to connect with the senior advocate who can throw light on as to what helped whom, how did somebody achieve, and in what manner did somebody achieve. So this can be a good tool, apart from filing RTIs, which will take a lot of time. But always, cross check. For example, if you check with one particular council, check with another one as well. So as to if there is any contrast, you can go to number 3. I think this is how it should be done. And then there are other various factors which which you can analyze. While there are multiple things, but it depends on what sort of research and what is the what to what end is the research being done. Saurabh.
Understood. Understood. No, that's very helpful.
Hmm.
Anyone else? I think Smita has one question, which is,
Yes.
sir, Smita, do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question yourself?
Yeah, sure. So you just mentioned that how chamber details would also be very relevant in finding out about more about the background of a judge. So I was just, even in our data collection, we have to find the chamber of the judges. But till now, I have done about 10 judges and I haven't found the chamber details of even one. It's not readily available either on the High Court website, DOJ website, or I've even looked at, articles when like they talk about that the judge was elevated for the first time, or if they're being transferred, then they generally give a short bio or a history or a background. But even there is no mention of a chamber. So is there any other authoritative way where we can identify the chamber?
I think the best way out is that you contact a senior advocate who has been practicing in that particular high court. Because otherwise these things are not available as such. Not all of them have in fact declared their assets.
Yeah.
So this is, and this is something which only somebody who has practiced with that particular or around that period can tell. For few judges it is available. For example, if you go to Himachal Pradesh High Court's website,
Right.
For judges there, the current lot, you'll find that that information is available, because there have been very few senior advocates there, very few good chambers there, because that is comparatively a new high court.
Right.
Because initially it was with a different high court. Yes. So so there you can find it, they have mentioned it. But apart from it, it has to be done through Uh,
So I was just wondering, now that you mentioned this, do you think that judges can be compelled, or do they have an obligation to actually reveal this data about themselves, this information?
See, they're under no obligation to reveal this, but for better transparency, all these things should be, in public domain. So as to, see, when we, for example, if somebody has to contest elections, he has to file an affidavit declaring everything. And if somebody declares anything false, the election itself can be nullified. So similarly for judges as well, because these, they don't get elected, they get selected. So for them as well, for, better trust, in fact, it should be in the public domain as to, what are the details about this particular individual who's going to decide my case. It should be out in public domain. But there is no obligation, there is no legal obligation as of today.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hello.
For assets, there is, but again, that is not being followed, and there's nobody who's to bell the cat. Yes, tell me.
Yeah, I just had one question which was related to data analysis. I just wanted to know, how do you conceptualize the kind of factors that you're going to bring in and analyze in terms of data? So how do you frame?
How do you frame?
Yeah.
See, for example, if you're making an Excel sheet, you can add on, for example, chamber. If you get somebody's chamber, or somebody comes from a good, because that is an important factor. Again, another important factor is that if somebody was aligned, or somebody was appointed as an advocate general or additional advocate general, or for somebody has represented a particular state government. Why this is important is because, again, as I told you, these are political appointments. For example, if you'll see Justice Deepak Gupta, who superannuated, last year, so you'll see that Deepak Gupta was, AG for Himachal Pradesh when BJP was there. And when he was elevated as a judge, then also you'll see that, that the state government was of BJP. So all these, for example, then Justice Suryakant, who we have today, and he is going to become the Chief Justice later on, you'll find that he was, the youngest AG for NDA aligned government. Similarly, you'll find for a lot of other judges. Justice Lokur was, the Chief Government Standing Counsel, something which you popularly call as CGSC, in the Delhi High Court when, NDA was there from 1999 to 2004. It is then when he got appointed as well. So all these factors weigh in. So what you can do is, whenever you make a chart, you can just put on these additional points, or you can make a remarks column, and you can, adjust if it's not uniform for everybody, and you'll see, and you find that you have to say not known or NA for a lot of candidates, you can just add remarks and add these things in remarks tab. I think this is how it can be done.
Yeah, Soumya, go ahead.
Right. Sir, my question is a little unusual. So you mentioned Excel spreadsheets, right? So I'm not very good with numbers, like I can't visualize numbers, but I can imagine graphs well. So assuming, have you made any graphs or plotted the data points of vacancies and strengths on an Excel sheet to quantify?
Yeah, like you're not good with numbers, I'm not good with graphs.
Okay.
Okay.
But
somebody has, I received a message yesterday, Saurabh, I received a message yesterday that some firm or some think tank in Hyderabad, based on what I wrote for Bar and Bench, they have tabulated something, and he sent me a link as well. I'll forward it to you.
Oh, wonderful. I'll share it with
I don't know how useful it is, because I couldn't also see it due to, constraints. I'll share that with you.
Yeah, absolutely. But just share one thing that Soumya, sometimes when you're thinking about tabulation, I think you'll have to first understand the numbers to reveal the story, and then almost visualize it. So that is
because everything cannot come in form of numbers or graphs.
Absolutely.
because that is what my entire endeavor is. That when you read a table, you have to go beyond the table. Like you read in law, the look at and look through principle of interpretation.
Okay.
You have to don't look at the graph or don't look at that particular table. That is not sufficient. You have to look through, and you have to analyze the data in a manner that that which is not something which gets directly reflected by that particular table. Like for example, we saw vacancies. We saw Delhi, we saw Rajasthan, we saw Karnataka. Now, Karnataka, the number of vacancies in past 2 years is drastically, reduced, because there have been 16 appointments which have been made. Unlike in Rajasthan, where you have the same, where you have the different set of ruling establishments. So there is an impasse. There is an impasse as to what because see, everybody wants to get their own candidates appointed. That is the hard reality. So the names which are being, and it's not that the names haven't been sent. Another important factor in this is that how many times have the chief justices changed in this duration? So you'll see that there have been only 3 chief justices in this entire period of 2 years. Justice Ravindra Bhatt was there. Before that, who was there? Before that, somebody was there. Then now Justice Mohanty is there. Another, and you'll find a lot of undeclared factors as well. Justice Ravindra Bhatt was, elevated to the Supreme Court further. Now, Justice Indrajit Mohanty also wants to come to the Supreme Court because there is no judge currently from Odisha High Court in the Supreme Court. So when this happens, you'll find that, again, you have to go beyond the table, as I said it. You have to analyze and see that, do judges play safe? Do the chief justices of high courts, do they play safe as to not get, in direct confrontation with the state government or the central government? Because, for example, if they recommend names who are not favorable to the ruling establishment at the center, or people who are aligned to, a different ideology, then the other side will object. And if they don't, then also, then this side will object. So you have to see, how the chief justices are played. Do they really play safe? How many times have they recommended names whenever they were chief justices here there? For example, you'll see there was a lot of debate around Justice K.M. Joseph being, promoted late to the Supreme Court. But, has it been that he has...
Hello.
Namit can't hear you.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. You're back. Yeah.
Yeah. So all these... So when you have to, this is what my entire endeavor today is with you guys. That you have to go beyond what the table reflects directly. You have to go, into something which it does not speak directly, but, the contents of it speak. You're getting me?
So basically, the story behind the numbers,
Yes, exactly.
the qualitative aspect of
Qualitative analysis. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I got it. Thanks for this lesson, sir.
I just wanted to ask one question in extension to that. I've been listening to you, and it then comes down to how do we ask the right questions to our data? Like, what are the right questions to our data? So,
See,
how do we reduce our analysis to that?
See, there are, there has to be some sort of preparation before you read the table. One, go through the MOP. Second, understand the procedure. Third, when you read, the current data, it has to be compared to at least, at least, a period which beyond, or prior to it, for at least 5-6 years, or even, beyond that. So whenever you study this, and as to why these factors weigh in, and as to how you'll appreciate how these factors weigh in is, so when you'll understand the MOP, and when did this MOP come into picture? How are the appointments being made? What are the factors which weigh in while appointments are being made? For example, when we deal with, appointment to the judges as judges of the Supreme Court, we look at, that somebody is from Odisha, there are 3 judges from Odisha, so they won't bring anyone from Odisha. There are 5 from Bombay, so they won't bring anyone from Maharashtra for the moment. You can also see, for example, you take Rajasthan, and you see the number of appointments, made from people who practice in Jodhpur and in Jaipur. And then you can also, short it down to, native places of particular judges, that whether all these people who come, are they also, they may be not a direct bias as to, the background of judges, but is it only that people who come from metropolitans or people who are educated in a particular language school and not Hindi medium school or English or vernacular school, they are getting better chances? What district has a better representation? So, and when you look into, for example, you look at, again, the division of service and people who are elevated from the bar, you see, from the bar, you will find very few judges coming from marginalized communities. You'll find very few judges coming from SC community or OBC community or ST community who are elevated directly from the bar. From service, they may come because of, reservation in judicial services or higher judicial services. But are they directly being appointed? So when you look into data as a whole, they'll say that out of 1079 or 1080 judges, we have 50 or 60 judges from this community, 80 from this. But then you have to enter deep into whether these 50, 60 are from service alone. How many of them are being appointed from the bar? You're getting me? So you have to, so there has to be a preparatory exercise before, you delve into data. And that is where it is important to go beyond what the tables reflect. So when you do an analysis at this level, it will be, something which is a strong code in itself. And it will be, a go-to, collection for generations to come. And it will set standards so high for everybody. That is how I see, that is how data should be collected and collated. Yes.
Related to that, I wanted to, I'm so sorry for asking a lot of questions, but
You
I've
can't
been
be sorry for
practicing,
asking questions. This is why. Yeah, tell me.
yeah, so I've been practicing a lot of data and things, and I've been branching out into quantitative analysis of criminal justice systems, like some data set. So if I were to practice, for example, where will I be able to get a readily available data set where I can practice and make analysis? Maybe like rudimentary at first, and then maybe get into something which has a bit more finesse.
I don't think there is a ready reckoner. I think it's a hefty exercise. That is why your summer is being dedicated to this. So I don't think there is a ready reckoner for, for a lot of things. For, in fact, in criminal justice administration, there are so many loopholes at multiple levels. As to what NCRB says, NCRB's data is highly unupdated. So, so this is something which, this is more of a field work.
Yeah, Shivangi, if you want to just like get a feel of the data and practice more of like your analysis skills, there are on Justice Hub, you will find a lot of people have shared their raw data along with the papers that they have published. So you can find some data sets on preventive detention, habeas corpus cases. Then you can find data set by Tarnab Khetan as well. So there are like a couple of data sets that's already available on Justice Hub and in a form that can be analyzed immediately. So you can take a look at that as well.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else? Any other question?
So can I go ahead?
Yeah.
So am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, tell me.
Yes, so sir, so as you have analyzed and gone through so much of data. So I had a question. So usually we see most of the judges are appointed from the cadre of bar. So can there be a scenario when the newly appointed judges outnumber the judges which are coming from which are coming from service cadre rather than the bar? So
See,
can there be any such sort of scenario?
see, I'll
What
give
can be
you a
the
homework,
possible
Piyush.
causes for that?
I'll give you a homework, Piyush.
Yes,
Do a
sir.
research and then get back to all of us.
Okay.
Are there any rules prescribed in particular high courts? You'll find different high courts have different rules. Does any rule book of any particular high court mention the sanctioned strength for people coming from service and people coming from bar? Do this homework. This will answer you.
Sir, I did check for Allahabad High Court. I didn't find any such rule for that.
Yes. So you have to do for all high courts. All
Sir,
25 high
so
court, you should
why
do a
is there
research.
a particular sort of bias?
See,
Yeah.
there is a sort of bias amongst. It's not something which the bench does. There is a bias because of the bar. I'll tell you why. There are 2-3 factors for it. One, candidates who get appointed as high court judges from service, see, there'll be people, who got appointed, for example, Rajasthan Judicial Services, RJS, or Rajasthan Higher Judicial Services. So these candidates or these judges would have never heard a writ petition or never argued a writ petition at all. So when you go to the high courts, the primary work is of either criminal writ or 482 petitions or civil writs or second appeals or FAOs or RFAs, regular first appeals and first appeals against orders. So these candidates would have never argued or have never, have an opportunity to, deliberate upon, the primary work which is being done at the High Court. They hear suits, they are magistrates, they do remand, and when they get, promoted to ADJ, DJ, they, do other sorts of work, family court, MACT, then, POXO, different things. But the primary work which is being done at the High Court, they may not have done. So when they come to the high courts, there is a bias amongst the bar because the bar looks down upon them. That this candidate has never, so there is something which is very common amongst the corridors, isko to kuch nahi aata. Because, they feel that, that he's there he's there for a very short period, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So by the time he will understand how the high court functions, he'll be at the edge of, getting superannuated. Second, they don't give respect to the candidates coming from, service cadre. Third, people who get elevated from the bar, they are well known amongst, the circles. So they have their own set of friends, they have their own set of differences with colleagues at bar. So, so then there are lobbies so there are, societal factors attached to, why generally service candidates are not, they don't generally come to the Supreme Court because, you'll find the data that, in past, so as I guess Professor Tripathi also must have mentioned this, that very few judges have come from the service to the Supreme Court after the collegium system came into being. So there are multiple factors, which play a role in all of this. So that is why perhaps service candidates are always kept less or, comparatively less than candidates who will come from the bar. Because people who come from the bar, they practiced in the High Court. They have argued writs. They know how service matters because, in lower judiciary, you don't get service matters. They have argued service matters. They have argued 482. They have argued writs. So they know the primary work which is to be conducted at the High Court. Another important factor, Piyush, in this is that the roster. Now, the chief justices who come from, now as per the MOP, the chief justice of a particular high court cannot be from the same state. So the chief justice who comes from a different high court, he also comes with a luggage or with an assumption in form that, that the down or percolated downwards, that roster is in such a form that, candidates coming from service, they are given simple, first appeals or civil matters or bail roster. Somebody sits as a junior judge or a puny judge in a division bench. So that roster is to us to not encourage, service candidates, judges coming from service. That is how, that is why it is important. That is why I laid emphasis on the period, the tenure of judges coming from service. Because, because you'll find in High Court rules as well, for example, in Rajasthan, or in fact in Allahabad High Court as well, I'm not sure, but, this is something which you have to look on, that somebody has to be a district judge or, in the cadre of the district judge for at least 3 years before being considered as an prospective appointee for the High Court. So, and then all sorts of lobbying and all sorts of, these things play into role because the system is highly opaque. You're getting me, Piyush?
Yes, sir.
So that is perhaps why. But you have to do a homework for all of us. You have to see, you have to check High Court rules, whether there is anything in black and white for the number of judges from the bar and from the service.
Yes, sir, can I ask one more thing?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I had a slight doubt about the appointment of additional judges. So whenever a judge is appointed, so he or she directly becomes an additional judge, or there can be an exception that he or she can be a permanent judge to that High Court directly.
No, so when you get appointed,
when
when one gets his or her warrant, he becomes an additional judge. He's awarded permanency later on. That is what article 217 clause 2 or article somewhere near that you can check from the constitution. This is something which is in the constitution itself.
And what happens when a judge is transferred from a High Court to other?
Nothing happens, he goes to the other High Court. If you're asking me the reasons behind it.
I was asking just so he directly becomes a permanent judge, or
no. Permanency has to be
follow
awarded.
the same procedure for that.
Same procedure.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So I have a doubt. So my doubt is pertaining to the judicial diversity. Sir, do we have a proper account of the caste category to which judges belong, be it SC/ST category or general category? So do we have an account of that? So because in our research work, we found it very difficult to find the background, the caste background from which the judges belong. So, sir, could there be an
again there is no collation to it. Nobody has collected this data so far, and the state has also not done this till now, or even the ministry hasn't done it. So the route is again to connect with a senior advocate in that particular High Court, somebody who has been there for a long time, so he can throw light upon what is the caste of who. Because you'll find a lot of judges, for example, Patna and UP, you'll find a lot of judges just write Kumar, or Singh. So you can't properly ascertain that who is a Kumar, who is a Singh. So many people don't even write any surname. So you have to connect with a particular senior advocate there, or you can write a letter to the registrar. Perhaps registrar can tell you, but again there is no ready reckoner for it. It is something which ought to have been done way back, but at least now this is being done so as to highlight the discrepancies, and how there is lack of diversity when it comes to judiciary, and no one talks about it. That is the worst part. Yes.
All right, sir, got it.
Awesome. Anyone else? Any other questions that you guys have? Any thoughts? Yeah.
Sir, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So there was just one point on a qualitative aspect that you rose, that if the government in the state is different from the government in the center, then the scenario for the vacancies either haven't changed or it has got worse.
Hmm.
So since in our country right now, so the party in the center and the government in many states are same.
Hmm.
So then why is the case that after such a long tenure of 8 years, 10 years, still there's the vacancies in the Supreme Court have started rising? I mean, if the state government have any role
Yes.
in appointment also, then also they
Nee,
are the same
not in the
government.
Supreme Court, not in the Supreme Court, only in the High Court. State governments have nothing to do with the Supreme Court. But again, when it comes to the Supreme Court, the stakes are higher.
Okay, sir. Hello.
Yeah, yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
That's exactly my question. That it's such an important post, and the government has been in the position for so long. Then why the vacancies in the Supreme?
I lost you. I lost you, Yash. Yash, you have to repeat yourself. I lost you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can repeat. Sir, I'm saying, since the government in the center have been stable for so long with such a high majority, then why is the appointment for the Supreme Court also rising, still rising?
See, there are 2-3 factors to it. One is that the previous CJI, Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde, did not make any appointment to the Supreme Court, is one. So, people kept on retiring, but there was no appointment which was being made. So, the number of vacancies rose, is one. Second is, perhaps, we have been going through, a pandemic. This may also be one of the factors. But these are the factors which are, the declared factors. These are the factors which all of us know. But there can be many undeclared factors as well. See, when it comes to the Supreme Court, the stakes are very high. Because, because, for example, if Parliament makes something, Lok Sabha passes, Rajya Sabha passes with majority, President of the country gives assent. Now, two people sitting in a closed room in the Supreme Court can just strike it off, saying this is, against the ethos of the Constitution. So these posts are very, very powerful. So the stakes are very high. So the ruling establishment, now the MOP is structured in a way that collegium, has to recommend names or propose names to the Ministry of Law, and then Ministry of Law has to do the background check, and then it has to, send it to the president, the list to the president for appointment, and the president under his warrant appoints. But there is no timeline fixed anyway. There is no timeline fixed for, the collegium to recommend names. There is no timeline fixed for the Ministry of Law to get back to the collegium or to send it further to the president. So because of lack of any timeline, the vacancies have increased. Another important factor is that when it comes to appointment as judges of the Supreme Court, there is a pool of 1079 candidates. Apart from those who can be directly elevated from the bar, that number has been very less. So from amongst this pool of 1079 candidates, there is a list of seniority. Now, from amongst this seniority and merit, you have to appoint as judges of the Supreme Court. And of course, you have to, balance regional representation, representation on the basis of religion. And then, a lot of other undeclared factors, which I mentioned in my article for Bar and Bench. So you have to find a suitable candidate, and then every ruling establishment also wants people who who are not aligned, but are at least inclined towards, or at least are not opposite to their ideology, political ideology. That is why perhaps Justice KM Joseph's appointment or elevation was delayed. So perhaps, one of the undeclared factors can be that they're looking for suitable candidates. But when it comes to appointment of High Court judges, there are two routes. One is that, that the Chief Minister recommends. Other is that the Chief Justice recommends, sends it to the Governor, etc. But all these are political appointments. Somebody who is close to, either, judges sitting at the Supreme Court who have their parent high court as their particular high court, or towards the ruling establishment in that particular state. So that is where it gets important. Now, why, and this is again something which is not written in black and white, or no table will reflect this in black and white anywhere. But this is something which, if you look deep into the data available, you'll find it. There will be exceptions, of course. There will be exceptions to this as well, but largely you'll find this. And then you can also look down into, for example, all of you are, taking one high court each. Then you can see, whether, when the previous ruling establishment was there, for example, in Rajasthan, when BJP was there and BJP was at the center as well, were appointments being made? If you want me to share the screen, I'll again, it has been disabled. Saurabh, if you can, enable.
Yeah, I'm giving you access.
I'll just show it to Yash.
Yeah, you have the access.
You have given it to Krishna Nair.
Krishna Nair?
You have to give to Namit Saxena's office.
Oh, that's very strange. I clicked on him only. Just 1 second. Do you have it now? Namit?
Not yet. Yes, now.
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are.
Can you guys see the screen now?
Not now, yes.
Yeah. So if you see, this is again the data as on 1/6/2021. We'll go to Rajasthan. So you see Rajasthan now. So from 2013 to 2018, we had the same ruling establishment in the state of Rajasthan as at the center. Now, if you see the number of appointees, from Vijay Bishnoi, I guess, who's from the bar 2013, to Inderjeet Singh. These are all during that period. So 5 to 16, around 11, 12 judges appointed. Now, if you see now why this game is important, why you have to, look at data from this point of view. For example, you see Justice Dr. Pushpendra Singh Bhati at number 11. Now he's being appointed, as an additional judge on 16/11/2016. And he's due to retire in 2032. Similarly, Vineet Kumar Mathur at number 13, 2016, retirement in 2032. So they are appointed at the age of, if you deduct 16 from 62, they're both appointed at the age of 46.
Yes.
Now, 46 again is a magic number. So if they are to be High Court judges till 2032, it means that their elevation to the Supreme Court has been secured. You're getting me?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you look into the background of Dr. P.S. Bhati, Dr. Pushpendra Singh Bhati, you will find that he's brother to Miss Aishwarya Bhati, who is a senior advocate at the Supreme Court. And, she is the additional Solicitor General for the central government. And she is the double AG for the state of Uttar Pradesh. And both of them are BJP.
Yes.
So are you getting what I'm trying to say here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
So this is where it becomes extremely important. And this is just one example of Rajasthan High Court. If you'll look deep into other high courts, and you'll find that no other, person, like unless, apart from Dr. Bharti and Mr. Mathur, you won't find anybody. For example, you see Vijay Bishnoi, 11 years, then, Arun Bansali again, 20 till 2029. So Arun Bansali is also going to come to the Supreme Court. Prakash Gupta, 8 years. Govardhan Bhardar from service, 5 years. 9 years, Pankaj Bhandari. Pankaj Bhandari also, if you look into the background, you'll find, his affiliation with Justice, former CGI, RM Lodha, because he was made registrar in the Supreme Court when he was made the Chief Justice. Then, similarly, Inderjeet Singh for 10 years, 8 years something, but nobody for 16 years.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you can do an exercise for other high courts as well.
Sure, sir. I got the points. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Saurabh.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other question? Cool. I think if there are no other questions, we can close the session. Unless Namit, you have anything else that you would like to share or any last closing
No,
comment?
I just want, again, my entire endeavor today, Saurabh, and, with all our friends is that, that you have to look beyond what is directly there.
Yeah.
The purpose will be fulfilled only when you, take something to your heart and you go beyond the brief is what, I would like to convey. In case there is anything, Saurabh is always there. In case anything is required at my end, Saurabh can, or anybody can connect with me at any time. I'll do what I can do. But, the endeavor is that there should be a proper code. And this is something which will, sharpen your research skills as well, because, data is the next skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's, in fact, you guys are fortunate that, that you're spending your summer to do something so progressive in nature and something which is going to, create, something for generations to come. So all the best, guys. And whenever I'm required, I'll be there.
That's very kind of you, Namit, and I'm sure we'll reach out to you and bug you again and again to get some more insights and information. But thank you so much for taking out time and talking to the Summer of Data participants. They are engaged in building a novel data set on the High Court judges in India, and I think we have made a lot of progress in past 2 weeks. This week, our endeavor is to basically close at least the first part of it and then do the double entry so that we can be sure that whatever data we are finally producing is of gold standard quality. So thank you so much everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, Namit, for taking out time and talking to us. And have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Saurabh. All the best. You too.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.